President Donald Trump's decision to eliminate jobs at the National Weather Service could have major consequences for Louisiana. Experts warn the cuts could not only impact severe weather alerts, but could also affect a range of industries in the state.
The Trump administration, along with its Government Efficiency Department, is undertaking a comprehensive effort to reduce federal spending. This initiative involves budget reductions and staff layoffs affecting several agencies, with the recent focus on the National Weather Service and its parent organization, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. Many experts, including state climatologist Jay Grimes, warn that cuts to the National Weather Service could potentially do more harm than good.
Well, so the cuts that are going to impact NOAA as a whole are certainly going to be impactful in Louisiana because we are dependent on NOAA for data, for services, for a variety of aspects that aren't just about weather. Of course, the National Weather Service getting a lot of the attention, but NOAA provides services for the state that includes fisheries and other activities, including our ports. So this is a big, big deal when you start talking about going into an agency that maybe be looking at anywhere from 10 to 20% reduction in force.
Over 800 employees have been laid off to date, with many of them being new or on probation. This news was particularly disheartening for Jake Lambright, the recently appointed meteorologist and recent graduate of atmospheric science from the University of Louisiana, Monroe. Jake has started his career as a meteorologist at a local news station in Alexandria.
It's pretty disheartening, especially knowing a lot of friends of mine that I went to school with, or connections of connections lose their jobs, and not just with National Weather Service too, but it seems like in other fields, meteorology is starting to shrink as well. So it's disheartening to see that another branch of meteorology, another avenue for a lot of people, is starting to become smaller and smaller.
Jake notes that the National Weather Service provides crucial data that local meteorologists use to create their forecasts, ensuring consistency and accuracy in the information they deliver across the state.
The National Weather Service on a typical day would launch 2 weather balloons from each forecast office across the country, and those weather balloons give us real-time atmospheric data. So we're observing what's actually happening in the atmosphere. That data is then taken, that observed data that's currently going on, it's fed into our computer models and therefore makes them more accurate. As a result of these cuts, we've already seen at least 1 or 2 weather service offices have to stop launching weather balloons altogether. So if more offices had to jump on board with that, that would be a problem. Without getting that real-time data, our models become less accurate and every meteorologist's forecast becomes less accurate as a result.
So far, the National Weather Service offices in Louisiana, located in Shreveport, Lake Charles, and Baton Rouge, New Orleans, have been spared. However, that's not to say we won't be affected by cuts in other offices across the state.
Let's talk about some other aspects of the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center. That is a big one for every coastal state, including the Bayou State. Who's going to pick up that heavy load were the National Weather Service to go away or be reduced in terms of its ability to provide services so greatly that it basically was handicapped by a shortage of manpower? We're talking about an agency that's already shorthanded and has lots of openings now. And then as of last week, they lost another couple hundred employees. They could be down 5 to 10% of their current staffing. And by the time this potential DOGE impact is finished, those numbers could come down even further. Also within NOAA and the National Weather Service, we're talking about a reduction of as much as 20% of their staffing for their national environmental centers for modeling. So the impact here could be dire unless we rethink the process.
Now, given the cuts already in place and potentially more to come, how will the National Weather Service respond? What does this mean for citizens and businesses that depend on data from the National Weather Service? This includes airlines assessing weather conditions prior to taking off and landing, the shipping industry, and even pest control services. Grimes is convinced that these substantial reductions will indeed impact their response capabilities, and careful consideration should be given when deciding on future plans and cuts.
So the Weather Service is in the process of redefining their roles and generating a more efficient footprint. That's fine. No, there's no doubt that probably every government agency can undergo some efficiency review. Many times things get a little stale, and here's the momentum, the energy to make those changes. But it needs to be done in an orchestrated way without reducing the efficiency of the National Weather Service. This slash and burn approach is going to have an impact on how the National Weather Service responds to the country.